Hello there. What is going on, everyone? We are playing the Summa of all things over at Coliseum of Comics in East Orlando, and this is the new home of the old Sci-Fi City FLGS crew. I am actually running some interesting stuff here. I'm running two Architons, one with Emperor Palpatine, one with Agent Callus. They each have cluster bombs, which you normally don't run, but I figure in this particular type of setting, it might be fun. And they're also each running quad battery turrets. I'm running two Decimators and two TIE Interceptors. No unique squadrons, and that may be a problem because unique squadrons are better for getting objective canisters, but I figure maybe that's what cluster bombs will help me with on these guys. It's going to be an interesting one. This is my first time trying it out, so we'll see how this goes today. Be sure to check all the links down in the description below, and like and share and all that good stuff. So this is how the Summa of all things works. You are going to have this guy in the middle of the board. Second player can place him, so you can kind of turn him sideways or whatever. He can move forwards or backwards. Anytime you move him, after he's done moving, this is like the head and this is the tail. So he's moving this way. If I gain control of him and want to move him backwards, I move him backwards and then flip him over so that this is always there. So if he goes from forward to backward, sometimes the tail will stay in the same place. You're also going to have these hyperfuel canisters that go distance one from each other, kind of around him in the center of the board, and the last one has to be touching him. So usually it will start off something kind of like that, and whoever ends up having control of this guy will activate him at the very, very start of every single ship activation. And you can determine control by having 1 point for every 2 squadrons, or 1 point for every command point value of ships nearby. So this would be a command 2 ship, so this would give me 1, 2, and 3 points of control on the Summa Verminov. The second player can also choose to play with the gravity well, and so that will start in the center of the board. If the second player is like, well, you know what, my fleet isn't particularly good for the gravity well, you can just opt to not do it. So that's one of the agencies that the second player gets. Second player also gets a navigate token on each of their ships. So you have a little bit of that going on. There's a couple of extra things that you're going to see on these cards. One of them is that you're going to roll a Maelstrom effect at the beginning of every round after the first. And so you can get no effect, you can get an electrical anomaly that's going to drain shields and slow all squadrons down, or you can get a debris storm that makes all attacks obstructed. Also, you want to be picking up these hyperfuel canisters. A ship that activates can pick up one of these if it's at distance 1. Also, a squadron, if it's a unique squadron, can pick this up, and that is also very, very important because you can only have 2 unique squadrons. And if you are running them, there are going to be extra people to go and pick these up. If they die, they'll kind of drop them like objective tokens. And these aren't considered objective tokens, though, because they can't be moved by strategic and all of that. There's basically 3 ways to win. You can kind of just basically table your opponent as normal. That's certainly an option. But the other option is to have the most points at the end of the game. And, of course, these count as points. And there's, of course, the Summa Verminov, where he doesn't just activate at the end of each round. He activates at the beginning of every ship, so even in 1 round he can go really, really, really far if people have control. If nobody has control, nothing happens. So you may want to go out pretty quick, gain control, and be like, all right, he's going to go this way. I'm still close enough. Oh, he's going to go this way again. Of course, I wouldn't want to move him towards my side. I'd want to move him towards my opponent's side, because if I can get him fully within my opponent's deployment zone at by the end of the round, that will end in a victory for me, or a loss for me if my opponent gets him all the way into the deployment zone from my side, which is very, very different than like how you typically play Armada. Also, at the beginning of the squadron phase, the player who does not have the control token, so whoever, if nobody has control, then it's not really a big deal. But whoever has control, let's say I got 2 squadrons nearby, my opponent then will say, well, the Summa Baronoth is going to do one of three things. He can have him basically eat a squadron where you'll roll black dice equal to their hull value, and they suffer that much damage. They can do a big area attack, or they can do another single target. Let me see. It's on one of these. It says what they can do. They can tentacle lash. You can roll 3 blue dice and just hit an area attack. They can do a discharge to a ship at close range, discard a defense token, or take a face up, or devour a squadron, and then they just take damage for each of the things. So this happens at the end. So that, like, escorting the Summa Baronoth to an opponent's deployment zone will sometimes punish you. He'll sometimes have to eat somebody who's escorting him. So that's kind of a way to sort of look at that. And then these are just some of the rules referenced. These cards are all double-sided. And so if you wanted to take a look at that as well. What we're doing for this, since this is a tournament here, and really great fellows over at Brace for Impact are definitely helping. So big thanks to Chandler and big thanks to Luke for running all of this. Is they're doing tournament points to kind of just to determine standings, and they're giving you a point for every coaxium that you have, and then 5 points if you win by getting this to the opponent's deployment zone, and then using actually fleet destroyed points only as tiebreakers. So that's how we're running this today at Coliseum of Comics. All right, first round, I'm playing Luke, and I'm second player. I chose not to put the rift in there. We've got our coaxium canisters, and we're going to kick this thing off. Let's see how it works. He's running a Quasar and a Gladiator with Howlrunner and Mauler Mythal. So it's Empire versus Empire, and this thing broke out of the Death Star. So we're trying to round it up for the Emperor. All right, so we're at the end of round 2 on this one, and this whole thing is not played out the way that I was expecting. It was because this thing moving around so much, and it doesn't move just once per turn. It moves before each ship activates. So having moving pretty close to it, you get to move it a couple of times. And so I've had to play very defensive to try to get people over here to keep it out of my deployment zone, so he doesn't win that way. Meanwhile, he's picked up just about every single coaxium token. I decided very quickly, I'm like, all right, I'm not going to try and get any coaxium tokens. I'm just going to try and blow up the ships if I can, because that would be pretty cool. But the problem is, even if I blow up his ships, even if I table him, he'll still have the most points. And this one isn't about like tabling, it's about points. And we're doing like a 3-round tournament and using those as points. So I'm definitely going to lose this one, but there's maybe a slim chance that something crazy will happen. We'll see, but we're moving into round 3. We'll see if I can at least take out a ship this turn, and maybe start pushing the Summa Baronoth farther upstream. We'll see what happens. I don't think so. Okay, so I totally misjudged. I thought this guy was command 3, and so I changed my priorities around. This thing got all the way to the end here. I just didn't have enough ships that were close enough to contest and push it back. So I learned a lesson on this guy getting all the way to my side. Because in a pure shooting match, I had plenty of firepower. I didn't even kill the Quasar because I decided I was just going to anti-squadron and go after Mauler Mythal instead, because I had Callus there and I wanted to use it. I was like, and I totally forgot. I'm like, oh yeah, I got 1 health left on this guy. I should have attacked him instead. He had no shields and no defense tokens. I only needed 1 die, but I went for Mauler Mythal instead, because I'm like, well, I'm already losing miserably here, so let's try to use all my upgrade cards. So that was a thing. Next round is going to be interesting. All right, we're set for round 2. I'm playing Dan today, and or Dan this round, not just today. And I'm second player here. Also, I decided to put the Gravity Rift in this time, and so that's going to be interesting. And Dan is also playing Empire. He's got a Demolisher and another Architons with Krennic, and was it a Naked Byzantine? Oh, you got Darth Vader on there. Okay, and then 4 TIE Fighters. And so I think Dan and I both lost our first rounds because we kind of brought a fleet that was more about shooting than about moving the objective, but this will be more interesting since we're both kind of geared for shooting. So here we are, set up, and I'm second player. Let's see how this one goes. At the end of the first round, I was able to move this up a little bit, but no shots fired. We start round 2. I rolled a Maelstrom effect. It's an accuracy, so Debris Storm. Every shot's going to be obstructed this round. So here we go. All right, so end of the first round, I pushed this thing all the way that far forward. I had to back it up and realign it a little bit, but I had control of it the whole first round, which means you can totally win the first round if you're just able to get up here quick and push it in. I just didn't angle it well enough, which
something I'm not really crazy about with this, just because the game can be over in one round very easily. But he was just not quite fully in the deployment zone. So we're going to round 2. I rolled the die. Its Maelstrom effect is electrical anomaly, which drained shields and slowed all the squadrons down. So that's what's going on right now. And Dan's going to go first, and we're at least tied for the Summa Verminov control right now.
All right, end of the game as end of round 2. We got
the Summa Verminov
into range of the deployment zone completely within there, and I don't know. I feel like this game was over
kind of in the first round, but it's part of the scenario. You know, you can just kind of ignore everything else and just try to walk this thing to the end zone. All right, for my third round, I'm playing Bernie. Bernie's it's all Empire today. He's got a victory 1 with Callus. That won't do any good because I have no unique squadrons because I was ill prepared. Gunnery team, point defense. Okay. Link turbo laser, Dominator. That's a really big victory. It's a big victory. Wow. Okay. And then we got a Darth Vader Gazanti with repair crews. You really don't want to lose that guy. Okay. And then 4 bombers. You're really going anti-ship. Okay. And Valen Rudor and Saber Squadron. Very cool. All right, we are set up at the start of the first round, and we'll see how this one goes. This game is much closer so far. We're on round 3, and this pig is loaded out, and he's just deleting stuff. Unfortunately, my Palpatine ship is like flying away out of range. I don't know. I've got 2 tokens. You've got 2 tokens on your 2 aces, and I'm probably going to pick up this third one here. All right, so this final round, I ended up pushing it in with my Architans. The victory was, the only problem with the victory was that it was slow, and then this thing made it slowed it down even more. If you could have gone a little faster, you could have torn me up, but I was able to get out of his range and play keep away with the speed, and taking out just enough squadrons that you couldn't contest me on the Summa at the end. This one actually was maybe the most tactical out of all the 3 of the games that I played tonight. The first one I lost miserably. The second time I won way too quickly, and then this one really came down to it. And so you ended up with 2 tokens, and I ended up with 3. So 3 to 2 plus 5 for tournament points for getting the Summa in there as well. So that one was pretty interesting. Good game, Bernie.
All right, so at the end of the day, I finished 2 and 3. Had a good time, got a promo, and got to try out the new Summa Verminov. The Summa of all things. Big thanks to Brace for Impact. Big thanks to Luke and Chandler for putting on this event and making it possible. Since my old FLGS kind of screwed pooch and sold off their copies, we couldn't have it there. It's nice to finally have it, get it set up. We're still looking for an actual Summa All Things kit, so if anybody out there has a brand new one, I'd love to do an unboxing and talk about it a little bit more. So shoot me an email if you know somebody who's got one. I've been scouring eBay and just cannot find one. All right, but yeah, so overall it's a totally different experience. The Armada player in me doesn't really like it very much because it doesn't feel like Armada, but it's a different game system. So if you play a lot of Armada and are looking for something different, this might definitely scratch that itch for you. If you play a lot of games and you come to Armada thinking, hey, I want to play a standard Armada game, it's not going to be like that. So it's because you could be like a really good Armada player and just get completely I don't know, sideswiped because like the objectives and the way you're supposed to play it are so much more different than any other game of Armada we've ever played before, that it takes a couple of games of playing this to understand like where its balance is and what the victory criteria are so completely different that it takes it just takes a different mindset to kind of wrap yourself around it. I don't think it's a good thing for new players because it is so very, very different, but it's still cool. I mean, it's nice that AMG put something out at all, and so I'm appreciative of that. So anyhow, that's just kind of my thoughts on the kit as a whole.
And I will talk to you guys later. If you want to see more Armada content and all of that good stuff, stay tuned. I will talk to you all soon. Big thanks to my patrons as well for continuing to support the channel. I will talk to you guys later. May the force be with you.